Yay! Biggest chef! It's the biggest chef! Dude, I've been wanting you to do this with me for so long. I don't remember how long ago I asked you to do it.
We made plans over a year ago, and then like strict lockdown restrictions came in place. And honestly, like I for the past couple of weeks, I've been like, oh, I should hit him up to ask him if he wants to do it again. But yeah, we made plans, and then I didn't even know if I was like allowed to come out there to do it.
Oh yeah, because we were going to do it in person, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We could have done it this way the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you were doing it like this.
Yeah, I don't think I was either. So I mean, I did during the beginning of the pandemic. I was using Skype, and it was such a pain in the butt to be like, hey, download the app of Skype.
Yeah.
Or be like, oh, Zoom, go download Zoom if you don't already have it. And it would be like, what's your username on there? Here's mine. And it was just like, when I discovered the StreamYard stuff, we were using it for WrestleRock. And I was like, oh, dude, this is amazing. And it makes it so much easier that I can get an audio download of it and a video download of it. So what I used to actually do, which was like, doing this eliminated so many steps. I used to have to upload the video that Skype recorded on YouTube, and then rip the audio off of the video from the YouTube link through one of those like YouTube to MP3.
Those ones where you're always scared you're going to get a virus.
Oh yeah, there's like, hey, there's 17 pop-ups on this one thing. And it's advertisement.
Yeah.
So I'm very fascinated, dude. You're pretty well liked in the Philly comedy area. People really seem to enjoy you.
I hope so, because I always think I'm not. I'm one of those where it's like, oh, everybody hate. I do kind of think everybody hates me for a long time, and if I stay home enough, I'll get into these moods where it's like, well, nobody likes me. Fuck everybody. I don't even want to talk to them anymore. And then I'll get some sort of like affirmation. I'm like, oh no, it's all right. It's all right.
You have catchphrases in the in the groups and stuff. What was it like? What time are signups?
What time are signups? And does the list go in order? Is this a mic or a booked show? Any mics tonight? Which, I mean, honestly, it's funny to me that it's been run into the ground by now.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm doing it well after anybody else finds it funny. Like, that's when I find it funny.
You get entertainment out of it after it's
after everybody else stop laughing at it. That's when I think to like keep it up. When it becomes, how long are you going to keep doing this?
So, have you been back to comedy? Have you been doing?
Yeah, a little bit. I come out like I'm still working a lot. So when I can make it, when I can make it out, I will. But at the same time, like, I'm kind of not actively trying to get booked right now. Mm-hmm. So if I come across them, I'll do it. But like,
well, you're doing that grown man adulting stuff.
Yeah.
With the real job and stuff.
Yeah. I hate it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I mean, I make decent money, but it's kind of taken over my life in the past 18 months.
Especially like, there's no air conditioning on those trucks,
nope.
Right? And it's been like 90 degrees steadily.
Yep. Well, I was on vacation this whole week.
So
I haven't been out, but yeah, trucks are just fucking ovens. In fact, one of the first summers I worked, it was 2019. And I didn't know at the time, they were sending us all these messages about like, if anybody from the media talks to you, don't talk to them. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know well, there was some article written in like USA Today or something about how hot it gets, and dudes at my job pass over from heat strokes, and that came out, and they didn't want us, if anybody talked to the media, we weren't supposed to talk to them.
Yeah, I can see that being a complication,
Yeah.
conflict of interest, I guess. Like in them going like, "Hey, shake the finger at you," or "Hey."
To which I was like, hey, if anybody asks me, I'll tell them how fucking hot it gets out here.
Yeah, there's no denying it.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand how companies can exist having delivery trucks that have no air conditioning in them.
Yeah. Post office got them. When do we get them?
Yeah, well, I don't get it. Why not? What's the deal? That feels like some OSHA
Amazon
violation stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I've also just been like, well, I'm kind of saving, but I kind of can't wait to get back to comedy.
Mhm.
Of course, I say that, but also, if anybody's talking to me the past couple of weeks, I'm like, maybe I'm just done. Maybe I won't go back.
But you have gone back.
Yeah, I've quit like 6 times already.
Yeah, I think I've done that also.
Yeah.
I mean, a bunch of times. Like I've let a lot of time go by, and I'm just like, well, it's just a thing I did once.
Yeah.
Like, it's the thing I used to do.
Yeah. I've been like, oh, well, it's a thing I did for 6 years, and I'll move on to the next phase of my life. And then 2 months later, I'm
then you go do it again.
Emailing my video to bookers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, when I first said I'm kind of well, first thing I did a roast battle this was in January of this year, so I hadn't done anything in months, and I was battling a guy who had just moved here, and so we had never met. This was the first night we met, and he was just like, I was already kind of like, oh, what the fuck am I even doing? Like, maybe I just won't come back after the pandemic. He's like, yeah, I asked around about you. You seem pretty well liked. And I'm like, oh, I'm back.
You're like, validation. Okay, yes, please.
I just need that little bit to like get me through the next couple of weeks.
Like me, everybody, please like me.
Yeah. Did you do Funniest this year?
I did, yeah. Yeah, dude.
When did you do it?
I did the first day.
You were first? I was second day.
I was first day.
Yeah.
It never goes well.
Well, I'm thinking of Funniest because I think I've quit comedy 3 different times because of how Funniest went.
Yeah, same. Because I've never not been upset when I left the Funniest. I've never not been upset about Funniest. Like, I've probably done it. I'm gonna say I've probably done it like 5 or 6 times or something, and I've never made it past the first time.
Yeah,
and it's like, all right. I
didn't go through this year. Like I said, it was second night, so they released the list, and it was like a week before we had our nights.
Right.
I didn't go through, but this year I took it lighter than most years.
I for sure have been able to separate taking it personally. Like I used to. Like I would be like, oh, this place is politics.
Yeah.
This place is really rigged. Because the first time I did it, I brought like all my friends. I brought like all my family, and I didn't move forward. And I was like, oh, it's still rigged.
I mean, it also sucks because like all those people are there, and they watch you not win.
Well, and I suck to all those people, and they'll never come to anything I ever invite them to come to again.
Yeah. Well, there was one year I was bitter was I think it was 2018. So a guy goes before me. He almost looks like Butthead in his 40s. Mm-hmm. I've never seen this guy. I've never seen him since. He was right before me. So I'm in the green room and I'm not paying attention to anything he's saying. Like I'm in my head getting ready to go on. And apparently he went out there and was like actually very homophobic and actually like very transphobic and all these whatever phobic words or ism words you want to put out. Like, but not in a funny way. Just being a complete edgelord. And apparently also from what I hear, people were starting to boo him by the end of his set.
Yeah.
Which I had no idea. I paid no attention. So I went out and my opening bit, which always works, I had a bit about telling my parents I'm gay just so they stop expecting grandchildren. And this joke always works. And I did it and it got absolutely nothing.
The room was still sore.
Yeah.
They had stinging belly flop all over them.
And they were they're probably kind of like, oh, another one of these guys, two of these in a row.
Right.
So I took me about 2.5 minutes to like start getting some laughs because this guy had dug such a hole that they weren't trying to hear anything. So that was one year I was just like, oh, that motherfucker ruined it for me. That was a year I quit.
Oh, dude, this lady, and I don't want to say her name. I don't want to say anything. I don't know her name. I don't want to say it because I don't know it. But she had like tons of people that she had brought there with her.
Yeah.
Like all of her friends, you could tell like all her family and friends were with her. And she was doing all these like really graphic jokes. And like her friends were all like like laughing because they were all her friends. And then she like got real quiet and she went, "See that helium? Start booking me. I'm making people laugh." Like, she called out helium. She's like, "Nah, y'all can't afford me," or whatever she like. It wasn't anything. It wasn't for anybody but her herself because helium wasn't paying attention. They don't give a shit about that stuff.
Yeah.
Like all they're worried about is the money that you paid to join Funniest,
but
and the money that they're making at the bar.
Yeah, and the first round you're going to call them out. It's
right. Yeah,
not a good look.
It's kind of like it's very hacky, and like a lot of people in their beginning stages, I think, have like their bunch of like hacky material that they go through.
Yeah, I did.
Right. Like
I was just telling somebody like this for my first year, I thought I had to be an edgelord.
Right.
I thought I'm pushing boundaries and. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember one of my early jokes was like, "Hey, my girlfriend just lost a lot of weight because I kicked her in the stomach." You got get in. A lot of stuff.
That's a rough one, Jeffy.
Yeah, I know. I was well over a year into comedy before anybody actually booked me. It took a year of bombing for me to realize like what's funny.
So the defensive. So when you say edgelord, that's not a word I've heard before.
Yeah,
that's more about like you got to be one of these like in your face sort of like pushing the boundaries sort of thing.
A person who wants to be Andrew Dice Clay in 2020 whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's decades past when that was okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was something in the 80s when stand-up comedy was still a relatively new medium, but it doesn't fly today. I mean, that's not even to say I think these days if you're going to tackle an edgy topic, you have to maneuver it. You can't be edgy for the sake of being edgy.
I mean, Donald Trump did it.
I worked for him for a while.
And
he found his crowd. That's what's important.
But
Trump was actually funny doing it.
What was the thing I was trying to say was what was the other like hacky stuff that you did in the beginning for it? And then like what's something that you recognize that was a hacky thing that everyone was doing at the time?
I mean, that I was doing. I thought you had to tackle big topics. I think was my thing. You know what I mean? Like you have to be saying something.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, I don't know. You be funny for the sake of being funny. I honestly, like, I kind of have honestly, I thought I was like Doug Stanhope when I first started. A guy who can kind of be funny while talking about something.
Okay. Yeah.
And which I'm the complete opposite. Like, I know I'm not smart enough to do that.
Yeah. Well, Doug has like so much experience. He has decades of experience.
Yeah, he's also 30 years into
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like for example, something I noticed, and I wanted to do it, but I never ever did because I felt like it was like, okay, that's too hacky, even for me, and I'm brand new. But like the fact that like when somebody finds out that you do comedy, they automatically say to you, "Make me laugh," and then somebody always has a joke about the like well, this, blah. And like a hacky thing would be like the, what was the one that I was just, if I got an erection for 4 hours,
I'm not calling a doctor, I'm calling a hooker.
Yeah. Right. Everybody's had those like when they started out.
Yeah.
But I had a joke that I never heard anybody else do it before, but I was like, pardon me if the premise is very hacky, but in this one commercial, they talked about if you achieve an erection for more than 4 hours, you got to call your doctor. Pardon me. I'm sure lots of other comedians have done this before, but I kind of want to give it a different. I've had lots of boners in my day, but I've never called it an achievement. And so I'd be like, oh, got an A on your math homework? Put it on the fridge. Got a boner for 4 hours? Put it on the fridge.
I mean, I'm just thinking maybe there's a joke in that. Hey, call the doctor to brag about it.
Right. Like they did a joke on 40-Year-Old Virgin when he called the number and he was like, yeah, it said to call you if I had an erection for more than 4 hours. And they were like, yeah, did you take the medicine? And he was like, no, I've just had an erection for 4 hours.
I mean, one of the very first jokes I wrote, it was about Jesus. It was about, hey, you ever know somebody who like does you a favor you didn't ask them to do and then expect something in return? Hey, Jesus is like that. Which honestly, it went over well for being new, but I wouldn't do that now because I just think shitting on religion, that's been done for 30 years. I think it's kind of funnier to ironically be religious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I only have one sort of thing that's sort of like if it's gonna hit a religious button or a religious crowd hears it, they're gonna be upset about it. But I had a thing where this guy at work told me what I missed at the staff meeting the day before, and I said, what did I miss? And he was like, oh, we all found out how much of an idiot Linda is. And I was like, oh, what kind of idiot is Linda? I was like, Linda was talking about Tarzan and Jane like they're real people. Thinks Tarzan is a real person. What an idiot, right? And I was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's pretty stupid. That's a fictional character. Yeah, she is kind of idiot for thinking that. And then she started, and then he says, then she started going off and complaining about original sin, and she's talking about Adam and Eve, and she's getting all the facts wrong. And I was like, the facts? but it's something that like touches that like we're
honestly, I think that's funnier without just being like, well, you believe in Jesus like that.
Right.
It'd be too easy to segue right to that. But I think to say the facts. Yeah. But also, somebody believes Tarzan is real. My first thought is like, no, I could see myself not Tarzan, but being like, everybody was like, no, that's totally fake. And I was like, I thought that was.
Well, like, it's probably based on a real person who was raised by, there was somebody like raised by wolves or something like that.
Somebody actually raised by wolves. That's true.
So, I mean, I could see Tarzan being real.
Yeah. A guy who lives in the jungle. That's not too far-fetched.
Well, I mean, where do you think you got the name Tarzan anyway?
Jungle Boy.
The gorillas named him? I don't know. I think Phil Collins killed it in the soundtrack for Tarzan.
Was he on the soundtrack?
Yeah, remember the Disney's Tarzan?
Oh no, he did oh no, I'm thinking Elton John was Lion King, right?
Yeah, and then Phil Collins said
is that the one he got the Oscar for?
He was like, I want to know, please tell me.
He got the Oscar for that, right?
I think so. Yeah, man, it was that. It was like the song was called "Strangers Like Me." Okay. If I go to the bathroom, you got to look up the lyrics to that.
I will. That was 90s.
Yeah. But what we're doing on this episode for the people listening, we have there's a WWE pay-per-view happening right now at this moment. So
are you watching now?
We're watching it.
Okay, so because they have started wrestling.
The Usos against the Mysterios.
Yeah.
And Is this the pre-show or is this?
Yeah, this is still pre-show, which I'm kind of surprised this match is on the pre-show.
Yeah, me too. But
do you know Dominic Mysterio isn't his real son? It explains a lot. It's his stepson. He raised him. But it explains why Dominic. I didn't understand why Dominic's like 7 inches taller than him.
Well, I mean, genetics go far and they zipper with each other. So I mean, that could be his real son. I don't think that
he married a woman and raised her kids. He helped raise him. So he's not his biological father, but he's his legal father.
Okay.
But I had to look that up because I'm like, how tall is Dominic's mom that he's so much taller than his own dad?
Yeah, I just took it as like some people grow taller than their dads.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad's taller than me, but sometimes people grow taller than their dads.
Which Uso was it just got busted for DUI again?
The long-haired one, Jimmy.
It was Jimmy, the one who just came back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout, it's not a good way to look at it, but when something like that happens, I'm like, well, that guy's like in great shape. He clearly has a boozing problem. I can afford to drink a little more. You know?
Well, I think that sometimes it's hard to say no to people who are offering you free drinks or something. Like when you're kind of like a celebrity,
yeah,
it's kind of hard to say no when people are offering you free stuff. I think that's like what was the downfall of British Bulldog, because everybody was offering him free stuff because they were going to hang out with British Bulldog. Like, take our drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. You know Shayner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's my roommate. He's sober now.
Uh-huh.
And I asked him, like, is it hard to go to Helium and hang out, when you're hanging out with all your friends and hard not to drink? He's like, it's not hard when I'm hanging out with people at Helium because like they all know the deal. They all know I'm not drinking anymore. What sucks are these people who listen to my podcast and don't know that. It's all like, yo, let's do shots. Oh, this shot. And I'm getting offered shots right away from all these people who think I'm still a drunk. And man, to be honest with you, when I try not to, if anybody offers me drinks, it's fucking damn near impossible for me to turn it down.
Dude, I just messaged Shayner a couple days ago about doing an episode of his podcast with him. But he left me hanging,
Yeah.
Whatevs. I'm not a big enough name. I'm not important enough.
Well, he's sober.
But yeah, dude. I think that Dominic Mysterio has an amazing upside in wrestling for sure.
Well, he's also super young still.
Yeah.
He's only like 20.
He has a tremendous upside. I mean, right now he looks like a young boy, a very young boy, which is like wrestling isn't for like kids; it's for adults.
Yeah.
So eventually he'll grow old in front of our eyes, kind of like The Rock did.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Dominic already has grown old in front of our eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
We all saw him when he was 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but I mean, in the ring, we'll watch him. Grow up. We'll like watch his entire life because, well, I mean, we're gonna miss the shit between 5 and 20, but
yeah. Do you ever The Rock? Do you ever look at him now and kind of forget he was like? It just feels like wrestling was one small part of his career.
Never.
You don't?
Never. No.
Because it feels so long ago to me.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay, so I'm 37. We're right around the same. So It's like I was such a fan of The Rock as a wrestler, and I will constantly say that like the era in which The Rock became famous, and The Rock was ours. Us as wrestling fans, we made The Rock, and we're just letting you guys, like the rest of the world, we're letting you have The Rock. Like, I feel like a very tight bond to The Rock. I've never met him before, but like we have a crazy bond.
No, I don't know. It feels like he's such an established actor.
Yeah,
I mean,
most people probably don't know that he was ever a wrestler.
They know he was a. Oh, man, I do think we're getting to an age now where people don't know you, and there are people who, man, definitely never saw him wrestle live.
Right.
Which is, goddamn, that makes me feel a little old. But I'm like, man, that was such an era that, like, it's such a bygone era.
Well, I mean, it also aligns with, like, I mean, what 1998 when the Rock was like at his pinnacle. When the Rock,
my favorite year of the Rock was 98, 99. 98 was my favorite year for a lot of things in wrestling, but that was his big heel turn year.
Did you grow up in Philadelphia?
I grew up in Bethlehem, actually.
Okay,
which was where the Rock is from.
Did you go to WrestleMania 15?
I did not.
Oh man, I was there when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and anyway, I'll get back to that. But but the year 1998, when the Rock was a big deal, was like the first year I ever got to be able to step inside of a wrestling ring.
Yeah,
that was like, it all coincided. So pro wrestling and the Rock and that whole beginning phase for me as to what has like been the path my entire life has always been pro wrestling. So I never see The Rock and not think of The Rock.
I don't know. It's just crazy to me that the guy who's one of the biggest actors in the world now, man, there was a time when you just turned on Monday nights and Thursday nights and saw him cutting promos and mingling with other wrestlers.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I mean, do you remember when he basically buried Billy Gunn?
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
So Billy Gunn had just won King of the Ring. They put him in a match with The Rock. And The Rock cut a promo on him. This is how good The Rock was at promos that is considered to have basically ruined Billy Gunn's main event push. Because the promo buried him so badly.
Because Vince McMahon didn't respect him anymore.
I mean, I don't know.
Probably.
I mean,
after getting buried in a promo.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So what did he say in the promo?
It was, "Dear God, it's Bill. Oh, dear God, what do you want, Benny? My name is Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is." He's still around.
What's up?
Billy Gunn's still around.
Yeah. I mean, he's still doing it. He's definitely like my mom's age.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
How old's your mom?
60.
Oh, he's like 53.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it's like he's definitely like an elderly person in wrestling. Like, people don't normally have careers that long, so like I'm excited for him. Like, I think that's great for him, and he looks amazing.
He does.
He's definitely, how old do you think he is? Like 50, 53, 54?
53. I know he was like around 35 when he won King of the Ring.
Okay,
he's the oldest member of DX. I know that. Yeah,
I mean, dude, never take a thing away from. Did you know my old roommate Ash Samuels?
I don't think so.
He used to do some mics with me back in the day, and he's one of the owners of Catalyst Wrestling now.
Okay.
We were at a show in Philly, and it was around Christmas time, and Billy Gunn.
A show or a wrestling show?
It was a wrestling show.
Okay.
It was a wrestling show that Billy Gunn was on, and Billy Gunn grabbed the microphone and he said, if you're not down with Christmas time, I got 2 words for ya, sucker. And all the fans did the suck it, and Ash was like, I'm Jewish. Does Billy Gunn want me to suck it? This is a pretty good match, though.
It is. That's why I keep looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm predicting the Mysterios win this, and then Roman Reigns wins the main event. Do you think John Cena's coming back at SummerSlam? I don't know.
Not at all. No.
Do you think he'll ever wrestle again?
He shouldn't.
Well, I mean, you probably know this, but the reason he doesn't wrestle is he's filming a lot of stuff.
Right.
And while he's filming stuff, he signs contracts that he won't wrestle.
Right.
Because they don't want to risk him getting injured.
Yeah, it's the insurance.
Oh, no, Usos won.
Oh shoot. They won the
Yeah, they just won.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Me either.
Man, but John Cena, I do feel like John Cena is going to be like the last wrestler who was able to get mainstream.
Mm-hmm. You don't think anyone else is going to be able to do that again?
Not
well, like Batista did it.
Yeah, you're right.
So I mean,
yeah, Batista's an official, like a certified.
Yeah, he's Drax the Destroyer. I bet you most of the kids who watched the Guardians of the Galaxy movie have no idea.
Yeah,
that he was ever in the WWE, part of Evolution and stuff.
And a deacon. So, how does stand-up compare to wrestling?
Oh man, that's an amazing question. It's so the same. It's a
lot of parallels.
So
you're probably one of the only people I could ask that.
Well, I mean, there's probably tons of people that you could ask that, but like one of the only people that you know, maybe.
Yeah, that's all.
Right. But yeah, it's like people are out for what their spots are.
Yeah.
Like it gets political, sure.
Yeah.
And it's like you're telling a story the same way you're telling a story in a match. You're telling a story. You want to make sure your place on the show is an important one, and you maximize your minutes. So with wrestling, wrestling and comedy is exactly the same, where a lot of it works off of like crowd reactions.
Yeah.
So you're doing a good job depending on how the crowd reacts to what you're doing. So with wrestling, it's how the crowd reacts to moves, or boos you if you want to get booed, or cheers you if you want to get cheered. And being over. In comedy, you're over when you get laughs.
Yeah.
If you don't get laughs, and bombing is the consequences of bombing are way less harsh than the consequences of not getting over with a move.
Right.
Like, because no one's hitting you over it.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe somebody will hit you, but no, I mean, you're just super over then.
But I mean, I've got to imagine there's that same feeling in wrestling, like in comedy, where it's like, oh, I thought that would hit. Like, I thought that was a good joke, and it gets nothing.
Yeah. Right.
Times where it's like, oh, I thought that spot would go over huge.
Mm-hmm.
And there's I've been in a crowd for those where there's just no reaction, and I can't put my finger on why it didn't go over.
So I've pictured spots where like it's like I picture it going exactly perfect. But then once I work it out with the other person and we figure out what we're doing, the person wasn't picturing exactly the same thing I was picturing. So it came out like a mixture of what our picturings of it were. So with comedy, you're like more self-reliant.
Right.
So it's not like it's up to anybody else to make sure your joke gets over. It's up to you to make sure your joke gets over. So I'd say in that it's a little more independent than wrestling.
Yeah.
Try to think try to come up with some more examples on that.
Well, I think there's also, I think a lot of stuff is dependent on subverting expectations.
Oh yeah.
Because I notice in wrestling, a lot of what gets over is, oh, I thought he was going to do this spot, and then he beelined at the last second and did something, and crowds love that shit.
Yeah, it's a misdirection. It's just like in comedy, there's misdirections.
Well, I'll tell you one kind of sucks. This dude, what happened is Velveteen Dream. Back before we knew about him, he did this thing.
Scandal acknowledged.
Yeah, when there was somebody on the outside and he climbed the turnbuckle and the crowd stands up, and he just goes like this and jumps off back into the ring, and it was fucking great.
Yeah,
everybody was expecting the big spot, and then he healed it at the last second.
Yeah. There was tons of those in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
like, that was crazy rampant in the 2000s.
Yeah,
but I was gonna say about what was I gonna say? The comedy. I think it's when sometimes people like go, oh, the crowd sucked out there. And like that you kind of don't get that as much.
Yeah.
In wrestling. I mean, crowds in wrestling have sucked really bad. There has been some terrible. I've wrestled in front of some terrible crowds who were not ready to pop for anything. And like we're only there to see who they were there to see. Exactly like at like a comedy contest.
Yeah, that happens in comedy, or they're only there to see the headliner.
Right. Like that I'm so tired of that. That's why like my major goal is that I want to be a draw. I want to be a draw so that the people who are coming to see me, but I operate under the assumption still, and I learned this from wrestling, and I applied this to comedy. The good idea to have in your brain is that most of the people here have never been to one of these shows before. Most of these people here already have an idea in their mind about what this is going to be like. So make sure it's memorable. So I want to make sure it's different than the match that was on before me and the match that was on after me. So when it came to comedy, I mean, I don't really have as much control over who's on before or after me yet. Right. But the expectations, like you said, the other thing you said about expectations is like in comedy, you're standing up in front of a group of people with a microphone. So you're talking into it and they're listening. Like you must think you're important, but the people watch you, people look at you and they like judge your entire look. They can judge everything about the way you look.
Yeah.
And you gotta be something better than what they expected. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
but you kind of forget that when you're on stage, you've been on so many stages, you kind of forget once you go up there, people already have a first impression of you.
Right.
You kind of,
that's why so many people, when they're starting out, have so many looks like jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many people, they have so many, I get it. I look like this. Everybody, like so many people have that in their bit, like right in the front of their careers. I mean, I've kind of been doing it lately, but only a little bit. Like only if somebody screams it out. If somebody screams out, which it's happened many times, that somebody screams out that I look like Aquaman or Jason Momoa, and I have to acknowledge it and say, all right, I get it. Like adjacent to Momoa or awkward man. But for the most part, I wouldn't like record that and put that on an album.
Yeah.
Or a special.
So in wrestling, is there also, because like in comedy, there's a lot, other comics hate. So there will be somebody getting over big with a crowd and everybody, oh, this guy's a hack, or this crowd just wants hacky shit, or I don't know what they're laughing at. Are other wrestlers like that? Like, I don't understand why this guy is over.
Yeah. There's always an excuse. Oh, well, like that guy's friends with him. That's why he got that guy's screwing the promoter's wife, or like there's always something like, oh, he's done something, and it's easily dismissed that like they got that and I didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't get it because they're better than me. They got it because of some other privilege that I don't have.
I mean, it's kind of like it or not, people are just reacting to what they like to see.
Right.
And I've had that frustration in comedy.
Well, I think it's natural to have that. Like I think, if you poll a bunch of comedians, the honest ones will tell you like 90% of them have had those feelings.
Yeah.
But I think I've got myself programmed into a mode where I know that somebody else's success isn't my failure.
Right.
And that was not something that I always had. I had that came with time. That came with a
probably.
lot. That came with a lot of watching a lot of my friends succeed.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of very successful friends, and they forgot all about me. And it's easy to. I get it. I totally get it. I get it ridiculously. Like you're a megastar. You're famous now. Like,
any names?
I'm not gonna.
Right.
We can talk about that afterwards.
All right.
But it's like maybe it's unsafe to associate with me in some way, or maybe it's like you've got so much stuff going on and you got to like filter through agents and stuff, and it's just easier to just not respond to me.
Yeah,
I get it. I really get it. I don't take that also personally either.
When you have a friend who, and I've realized this in comedy, not that I've tried to use anybody, but when you have a friend who's successful, they have to be careful. You can't just try. They have to be careful that you're not just trying to latch onto them.
Right.
You know?
Oh man.
And I'm very wary of ever being one of those guys.
I think I'd look out for people trying to latch on to me. Yeah. No one's trying to latch on to me, but I think that there could become a time where that might start to happen. But like, do you know who Matt Tremont is?
The name sounds real familiar.
The Bulldozer Matt Tremont. He's like really big in the indies, like indie deathmatch wrestling.
Name sounds familiar. I can't.
He started running shows 10 years ago, if not more.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what's going to happen, right? All these people who aren't your friends and don't know you are going to hey buddy you to death.
Yeah.
Hey buddy, hey buddy, hey buddy. And now anytime I see him or talk to him, I always say, hey buddy, hey buddy, hey buddy. But it's really like anytime I've ever like had the book somewhere, like, or like was on the creative team somewhere, I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Because if people found out about it, I'd get so many people like, oh, why didn't you book me?
Yeah.
Or like, hey, like, why didn't you put in the word for me? Why didn't you get me a match? Why didn't you?
Yeah, I ran a monthly, just even running a monthly comedy show. It's like, well, why haven't you had so-and-so on yet? Why haven't you had so-and-so on yet? I put 4 people on. I'll get to it, but like, God damn, I can't put every single person on the first show.
Right. Well, it's also
a dumb bar show. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. So, do you think Edge is getting the title?
I honestly don't know now.
I don't think at this show he's going to.
Yeah,
but I see it happening soon.
Yeah, with the Usos winning,
right?
That makes me think there's a chance Edge does.
Well, that's a factor, but I think in also like normally it's booked in the go home to the pay-per-view. So this past Friday, Roman was stuck in the seat in the crossface with the bar from the seat across his mouth. So I think on here, since he was down on the go home, I think he's up on the go. He's on the card.
Yeah. No, I think I'd say Roman's probably winning because I don't see his title reign has been so long. I don't see him losing at anything but SummerSlam.
Right when they're in front of people again. When they're in front of people again and on tour and stuff.
Yeah.
How cool is it to see that? How cool is it to see a full building?
Honestly, it's been so long it like feels weird. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, this is the second one. So the last one was Friday.
Yeah.
So now this one, and now it's just like it feels like, oh yeah, that's normal. Like,
man, it doesn't to me. Like watching AEW, it doesn't feel right.
And like nobody's in masks.
Yeah.
I wonder if they had to like sign waivers or anything.
I doubt it. From stuff I've gone to, it seems like everybody's just kind of rolling with things now.
Okay. I mean, I haven't worn a mask. I haven't worn a mask in a little while.
I always bring one with me just in case I go someplace
and
they say something about it, but I barely ever bring one out anymore.
Well, I mean, I got fully vaccinated in May.
Yeah.
And most places don't require you to have one anymore. So
yeah.
I don't really bring it around.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I was predicting things to come back way slower than they did.
Yeah.
Because I remember talking with people. I'm like, who knows when live shows will be back? It could probably be 2022. I didn't think like anything full capacity. I didn't think would happen this year.
Are you have you done any plane travel? Have you done any airplane travel?
I did last year in the middle of the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what was that experience like for you?
I mean, I went to Denver last September, and it's so you have to wear your mask the whole time.
Yeah.
But the plane is still packed, which makes zero sense to me. That it matters way more. Like if the plane is packed, the masks don't matter. You know what I mean? People are gonna get it. So I went to get my rental car and the line was out the door. And I believe Denver was like just reopened something, so there wasn't much going on. Like there was very little comedy going on. There was literally like one show in the whole city. So yeah.
Have you been like? Have you done any like tours in comedy? That's always something I've wanted to do.
No,
like, I've always wanted to
it's something I
be out there doing it in different places.
Yeah, it's part of one of the things I'm saving up money for now is to make that like feasible. I think you have to have some money saved up, but it's kind of one of my ultimate goals is and if I can get it to a point where a tour would be kind of self-funded, it's one of my major goals.
Well, I think it's also part of my goal of becoming a draw is well, if I go tour somewhere and I go do comedy in front of people who don't know who I am, it's not like it's not like they'll even have a bunch of people show up.
Yeah. Or I mean, it's just if you're decent enough, it's maybe not a draw, but you can do shows that pay well enough, shows that bring in a crowd.
Right.
You know, you have to be a huge draw yourself.
I think it should be, and forgive me, I want to say this as humbly as possible and not sounding cool, but like, there's not many good comedians who are also pro wrestlers. That doesn't happen. Like, that's like if I were to market that as a thing, I don't do comedy jokes. I don't have any. I mean, I don't do wrestling jokes because I know that most people who come and watch me do comedy don't watch wrestling, don't know what I'm talking about. So,
well, also, I mean, I think that this is me personally. I think that'd be kind of too
niche. Yeah.
Yeah. When I don't know. I from what I hear, New Jack was an all right stand-up, which I could kind of see.
Sure, but
yeah. Well, and I don't know of many who tell actual jokes.
Right.
Like, Mick Foley is a stand-up,
but he's storytelling, and he's
storytelling. And I think even he would say it's not stand-up.
No, he's just peppering in a couple tags, but he's not doing set a punch. Yeah. Right. I get it.
Have you ever heard Dolph Ziggler's comedy?
No, but
I've heard
it. I saw a little bit of it on Total Divas.
Yeah.
And it was rough.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean, I'll give him credit. Like he genuinely wants to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rumor is that's why he dated Amy Schumer.
Right. Because he wanted to be a comic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's I mean, that's a method for going about being a comic.
Yeah. Hey, look, I would have done it in his spot.
Sure.
That was a possibility. I'd do it.
Yeah, I mean, sure. If there was somebody in comedy who was like somebody I'd be into as a relationship person, who would like take me on the road with them or something.
Yeah.
And if I was in a position like that, like where I had that outlet, that fame that Dolph Ziggler had, I mean, I can't say I would do much different, but I mean, it didn't get his career any further.
Yeah, no. Have you toured as a wrestler?
No. Oh, well, I mean, a little bit, but not like on a tour bus or anything. I mean, like we went on a tour bus, like a limo thing, down to Tennessee.
Oh, you skipped the bus and went straight to the limo.
Well, it was like those big vans, the excursion vans.
Yeah.
There was a bus of wrestlers that went down to Nashville like 2 years ago, and I flew home.
Okay.
But that was the first time I ever got to fly anywhere for wrestling or fly. I flew home.
I mean, because I was going to say it's possible to, I don't know, you have a wrestling show in this city and then poke around and just find a comedy gig also.
Yeah.
Try to double up, you know?
Yeah, but then I have to like go take bumps and get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I always say about why I like comedy better than wrestling, because like I get to keep my clothes on and nobody hits me.
Only your ego takes bumps.
Yeah. The only hits I take are from on my ego.
Yeah.
But I'm trying in comedy to do almost like where it's not gimmicky like wrestling, and it's my voice in my observations. Yeah. And I think now at this point, maybe I'm just starting to find my voice. I don't even know if I have. And I'm I think I started like kind of taking comedy seriously 2016 or 2017. But look, I started doing my first open mics in like 2008.
Yeah.
And I still don't think I've like found my voice. Maybe, but I don't know. I mean, I don't come out here claiming that I'm great or that I'm good. Like right. I'm wanting to constantly improve and be better as a comedian. Like I want to become. My goal isn't to like have a special. My goal is to be a special.
Right. I don't know. I wouldn't say I found my voice. Like, I'm still at a phase where it's like, man, how I joke right is I throw a lot of shit at the wall and I see what sticks. Mm. And I can't write a joke and be like, oh, that's funny. I have a new set that works. Mm. Like, I have to cycle through a lot of unfunny stuff to find anything. So I wouldn't say like I found my voice either. Because, I mean, like roast battles. One thing I don't like about roast battles is you don't get to test out the material.
Right. You're trying that day for the first time.
Yeah. It's a one-time joke. So I've done a couple this year, and it's like, man, some of these jokes kill, and some of the ones I thought were really funny got absolutely no reaction.
But then they're gone forever, and you don't.
And that's it's a one-time thing.
Right. Then you don't have to worry about those jokes bombing in the future.
Yeah.
They bomb that once. And
also. Even like one might bomb, and then the next day I'm like, oh, I know what would have made that joke better, but now it's too late.
Right. Yeah. Well,
if I would have just reworded it.
You can reapply some of the premise in that. Like I've done that a few times.
If it's a very specific roast joke, I can't use it again.
Do you know who Eli Sayers is? He's a pretty well-known roaster in New York.
Okay.
But he was like the Roastmaster champion for a while. When Roastmasters was on Gas Digital.
Right.
And
I think the roast. Oh, I'm thinking of Comedy Fight Club.
No. Yeah. Comedy Fight Club.
Shout out Sean Gardini. I think is still the champion of Fight Club.
Okay.
Buddy of mine.
Cool. I'm doing Comedy Fight Club in August.
Oh, no shit.
Against Rachel
Fogletto?
Yeah.
I lost to her this year.
Cool. I can strategize with you.
Yeah. No, I mean, speaking of jokes, because I battled her, she won.
Yeah.
There was at least one. I had a joke. I thought, now it got some reaction. I had a joke that I said she looks like she spends every night crying as she drinks wine out of a mug that says male tears, which made me laugh to write it, but didn't get much of a reaction. Like, that's one of those jokes that I thought would be funnier.
Right. Yeah. I could see on paper it being better in your head.
A lot of, and roasting like a lot of these you look like jokes. Man, it will make me laugh to come up with it. But then a lot of those you look like jokes, they have to have like a real punch to it, or the crowd doesn't really react.
I've done only a few of them at this point. And
I think Rachel's officially on a win streak, so
oh shit,
be prepared for that. She just won one the other night.
Well, I'm a jobber. I've never won one, so it's fine.
I'm literally at 0.5. I'm as many wins as losses at this point. Oh no, maybe not.
I've never won one. I think I've done 4 or 5 of them.
Okay,
and I've never won.
The Eli Sayers.
When I did Eli's podcast, he does a podcast called Roast Ghost, where he like roast a famous person from history, and I think we did one for Thomas Jefferson.
Okay,
and it got such a laugh in the room that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna, or Thomas Edison, or one of those two, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna use this on stage, and I used it like 2 more times, but at least I got some more use out of it.
Right.
Would you like to hear the joke?
Yeah, sure. Well, was it Thomas Edison or Thomas Jefferson?
Well, hear me out. So when Eli said what the podcast was going to be, I swore he said Thomas Jefferson and not Thomas Edison. So I started writing all these jokes for Thomas Jefferson, and I was like, oh, but it's Thomas Edison. I find out the day of, and I'm like, oh shoot, now I gotta find out, like I gotta try to write some jokes in like an hour for this roast. And the thing was, Thomas Edison would hire people to like invent things, and he'd like take the credit for it.
Yeah.
I looked up how he died, and it was like he had a stomach, he had like a dysentery or something. He died of pooping too much. And I was like, yeah, before him, it was just called urea.
Okay. Took me a second.
Yeah. But I got to do that 2 or 3 more times on stage.
Honestly, that does work as a joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a roast joke. You know?
Right. He stole the credit for stuff all the time. It used to just be called urea. And then
when do you do the Fight Club?
August, the end of August.
Is it here or in North Jersey?
It's in Times Square.
Oh, no shit. Oh,
yeah.
In like that room they have it in? Like, it looks like they do it in somebody's apartments.
I haven't seen any of the footage or pictures or anything.
Yeah, I was pretty fun because, like, for mine, Sean Gardini recommended me, and so like showing up and losing, I was like, oh fuck. I felt like I let him down a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, there's always a chance. There's always a 50-50 chance, man. Like,
yeah.
As long as like you did like jokes and like tried to be funny.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, gee, oh, sorry, I'm watching the Money in the Bank. Are you watching?
I
see
am.
that spot that they just did with the ladder?
Yeah.
It scared me. It scared me a little bit.
They're all from Raw, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I've given up on Raw.
Yeah, Raw is not anyone's cup of tea anymore.
I don't know anybody who watches Raw anymore.
I mean, I'll fast forward through it, but then I forget. Then I forget about it because like so much other stuff happened in the week.
Right.
And it's usually not good. It's usually not memorable.
I tell people, I'm like, if you really wanted to keep up with wrestling, like all wrestling, you are spending hours every single week
Yeah, there's so much wrestling content
Right.
that you could spend your entire week only watching wrestling and doing
Yes. There's 3 shows on WWE alone.
nothing. Right.
Well, I mean, then there's 205 Live
Right.
and NXT UK, wherever the women's show is.
Oh, I don't know.
And then there's AEW, Dynamite,
And they have 3 shows.
Dark, and then Dark Revelation.
And then they have Rampage now.
Rampage. Yeah, you're right.
So
Then there's New Japan. And I'm tempted to start watching Impact again because of what they're doing, but dude, I just don't have the time. Like Slammiversary was last night. I don't have the time for all.
Do they still do it in front of no crowd?
No, they have a small crowd.
I was watching one of the last pay-per-views when it was on, and there was no crowd still. What did you think of did you watch the Walter Dragunov match, the first one?
What, the one a couple months ago?
Yeah, in October.
Yeah, I've probably watched that 10 times.
And I know I've watched it at least 5 times. But
yeah.
They were supposed to do a rematch or something, and then
Walter got hurt.
It's like he injured his hand or something.
Yeah.
Well, it'll happen eventually.
There was actually because I was just here for my New Year's Eve got canceled because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just here, and I showed it to Shaner and his girlfriend at the time. And it would have made a great reaction video because the whole time she's just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're allowed to do this to each other." I kind of want to see this.
Yeah. This is interesting as hell. Oh man. That was so silly, but cool. So the people listening who aren't watching along, we're watching Money in the Bank. That's currently on Money in the Bank WWE pay-per-view. Alexa Bliss just did like a hypnotize Zelina Vega where she made her climb down the ladder.
That's a throwback to when you had the Undertaker's urn, you controlled them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the funny part about this is the audio of this isn't going to drop for a couple months. So people were like, "Oh, Money in the Bank from a couple months ago." Like, why would I listen to that? No, but so what kind of made you want to be a comic? Like, how did you decide that comedy was for you? Like,
I mean, me personally, I wanted to. I mean, if we're being honest, I think I just wanted to like be the center of attention. I think you just do it because you enjoy the validation. I hate saying this, but to be honest, like when I was in school, I did act out a lot. I was always trying to like make the class laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a class clown.
Mm-hmm.
I failed 10th grade because of it. So I always kind of wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really the idea was in my head starting at like age 18, and god damn, I wish I started when I was 18. And then I had a moleskin notebook, and I used to try to write clever jokes in it. And it was my favorite comic is Demetri Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to write like Demetri Martin-esque jokes. And then when I was 24, which would have been 2010, do you remember Lickety Split?
The Cherries on South Street. It's like the upstairs place.
It's Milk Boy now.
Okay, and it was upstairs. It was like an upstairs
open mic. It was upstairs on a pizza place.
Yeah. I remember it.
I was walking by. I was coming from hanging out with my buddy. I was fucking hammered. I was walking by. I heard that going on, so I went up there and I signed up. And my idea was, I don't know why I had this idea. My idea was to have a drink almost finished at the bar so that if I bomb, I can just finish my drink and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize how long you have to wait at Mike's sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I had several more drinks. I was like borderline blackout by the time I went up.
Right.
And I told my jokes. Fucking bombed, like terribly bombed. And I remember like threatening the audience. So I got off when I was done that, and the host just railed me for about 5 minutes, and it killed.
Was there anybody there that you know now, or
only
that I would know?
Only I think his name was Lamont Maxwell, and only because Lickety Split still went on for years. Nobody else you no other names you know. So I did that. And I didn't do stand-up again for about 4 years because I kind of wanted to again. And I got into like a real shitty relationship that took over my life, and we broke up.
Well, that's what shitty relationships will do sometimes.
Yeah. And it cost me a lot of money being in this relationship. And when we finally broke up, I remember when we finally broke. Like it was something I wanted to do, but I knew I couldn't do it while I was with this person. And then when we broke up, it was like right after my 28th birthday. I remember being like, oh, well, I can do it now. And I also knew that if I didn't at least try it, I'd regret it. So then I went and I did Growlers, and that was 2014.
Where's Growlers?
Growlers was on 10th and Fitzwater, and it was in a basement.
Okay.
John Deary also. I did my first mic, and then 2 weeks later, John Deary did his first mic.
Oh,
there.
Cool.
So, yeah, we started right around the same time.
Yeah, he's been on my show. I mean, he's been on this podcast. The funny thing was, like, I think I shouted you out when I was on Jesse and Neil's podcast because there was a sticker on the desk that was you.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, that's my pal.
I put up those stickers all around the city.
Yeah, but
I mean, yeah. But as far as being a con, I think I just kind of like. I think I just like being the center of attention, and at least
when you were a kid, like, did you grow up with both parents? Did you?
Yeah, I grew up super religious.
Yeah,
my dad's a pastor.
So that's the kind of damage. Not to say that it's terrible damage, but it's enough damage to make you want to stand. Because, like, as a pastor, as a preacher, a priest, any of that, like me, when I would be when I was in Catholic church when I was a kid, I would see them and they were like up on stage talking on a microphone. Right. I was like, whoa, that's so adjacent to what I want to be.
Yeah, kind of.
So I could see that being like you going like, all right, I know what it's like to see somebody who's just a regular ass dude like me get up there and do it. And
I think a lot of people were hoping I would also become a pastor, and I feel like, wow, I let them down. It was like, so close, but yet so far.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could still do it.
I could have I could in my mid 40s decide to turn it all around.
I mean, I'm an ordained minister. I got my minister license on the internet.
You've got to be the fifth comic I know who is ordained.
Yeah. Well,
I know quite a few who are ordained so they can do weddings.
Well, I think it would be. I looked at it like I always wanted it to be that I wanted it to be an offer that I like a service that I offer to people.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like my whole theory that I constantly say to anybody, like, I'm universally at your service. So if you're ever feeling like you want to just have a friend or just a chat or anything, absolutely feel free to reach out to me. I'm a real person. I'm going to reach back out to you. I'm going to interact with you. It's not like I think I'm a big deal or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm a big deal in the fact that, like, there's not many people doing all the things that I do as good as I do them. That whole thing, but it doesn't mean like I think I'm too cool or too big of a deal to respond to somebody who sincerely wants to have a connection with me.
What did you do first, wrestling or comedy? You did wrestling first. You were, well, no, had to be because you were in The Wrestler, which would have been 08, right?
I think so. Well, I started wrestling in 2000. I got into a ring for the first time in 1998, and I never got out. I haven't been out of the ring since then.
Is that when you started training?
Yeah, I started. So when I was 14 years old in 1998, I started training to be a wrestler, and I think I didn't get it into like a real wrestling school. Like I was training at a kind of almost like a backyard kind of place, but it was inside, and there was rejects from the Monster Factory who built their own ring.
I didn't know the Monster Factory is that old.
Yeah, the Monster Factory is as old as me.
Oh.
It started in '83, but Nikki Cross winning the Money in the Bank women's match. That's cool. Mm. But there was guys who were dropouts of the Monster Factory, and they started their own school. I was training there when I was 14 and 15, and then
how did you pay for it?
I mean, it was like $30 a month.
Oh no shit.
It was like,
because I looked into the ROH school at one point. It was like $3,000.
Yeah, right. So on that smaller level of a not real wrestling school, didn't have any prestige to it, didn't have real trainers who weren't learning how to actually wrestle. It was just like a mark out thing. Like you get to pretend like you're a wrestler.
Okay.
Do you know Dewey Donovan? Do you know who that is?
Who?
Dewey Donovan?
No.
He manages Nick Gage.
Okay.
He's like that dude who wears like the neon green.
Yeah, wasn't he on Dark Side of the Ring? Wasn't he one of the guys?
I didn't watch the episode.
Oh, it's a real good episode.
But Dewey Donovan, who is the current manager of Nick Gage, he also went to that school, and he left there to go to the CZW school, the Combat Zone Wrestling Academy, and my friend Rick Connor, who I co-host Wrestle Rock with, also went to the CZW Wrestling Academy. So I went with those guys to the CZW. But I was 16 when I got trained at CZW, and have never looked back.
Man, it just feels weird that CZW is that old.
Yeah, CZW is. I think it started in '99.
Yeah.
Huh. It's a pretty '90s company.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still around.
Right. Yeah.
Are they still a deathmatch company?
No, I don't think so. I don't really know much about what they got going on. I haven't paid attention at all. Oh. But I hope they do good. Yeah. I know that there's got to be kind of like a recovery from, I think, during the speaking out movement. Maybe there might have been some casualties.
Yeah.
Of CCW.
I mean, if we're being honest, I feel like Velveteen Dream was a really, really big blow to NXT.
Yeah.
I think they've been on a steady decline for like the past 2 years.
Whew, yeah. I mean, that's a fair assessment.
I still watch, but Dream was like their breakout star in NXT, or the next breakout star.
Yeah, he was. I think they had John Cena putting him over at one point, talking about how he was going to be a WrestleMania main eventer one day.
Yeah.
And this is a sentence I said recently. Men's private parts get in the way of them achieving their goals so often.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And that,
like I said, I was in a relationship for 4 years. Starting comedy earlier.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, we found the ingredient.
Yeah, I always wish I started when I had the idea.
Mhm.
If I started when I was 18, if I would have been focused on something back then, because also it's not like I did anything worthwhile when I was 18, 19.
Mhm.
So
I was a TV star. I was a TV star when I was 18, 19.
really,
I sucked at it though.
what were you on?
I was on CZW TV. I wasn't a real TV star.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were on something about like
no. That would have been cool. I would have rode the shit out of that, but I couldn't ride any Channel 48 credits.
yeah.
WGTW Channel 48 serving Burlington, Philadelphia.
Yeah. Because I think when I started, kind of was like the beginning of, I guess you want to call it the second comedy boom.
Uh-huh.
And it was I just kind of wish I would have beat it out a little bit.
I think that it's tough to put any number on what the comedy, like first, second, third, like there's been just so many booms. One of the comedy booms is what you kind of started in.
Right. Okay. Or whatever we're in now.
Right.
Because I think it's probably started around 2016.
Mm-hmm.
For better or for worse.
Mm-hmm.
And 2016 is also when I just started to get any sort of get good at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I sucked for 2 years.
Well, I'm glad you don't think you suck now.
I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay.
I think any of us, you can go from thinking you're good to then going and bombing and being like, wow, I really suck.
Oh yeah, that's me all the time.
And I'm very guilty of that.
I don't know about you. I've been feeling this lately. It's just, well, maybe I'm just out of jokes. Maybe I already wrote all the funny ones I'll ever come up with, and that's it. Yeah.
I don't ever have that feeling.
I have that feeling a lot.
I always go like, well, there's plenty more jokes to write. There's plenty more money to make. There's plenty more crowds to make laugh. There's plenty more.
Well, no, that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's just you're in a slump. But there are times it's just, yeah, maybe I just came up with everything good I've written will ever write is now, and I just have to keep doing those. I'll never come up with anything new ever again.
My most creative days are behind me.
Yeah,
that's not possible.
I don't know about you, but I've kind of stopped trying. I'm trying to stop drinking around comedy.
Mm-hmm. I don't drink around comedy. That's not.
It's super hard not to, but
especially if I'm driving.
Okay. Yeah, I don't drive outside of work, so.
Yeah, so if I'm going to drive to a comedy gig, I'm not gonna drink or smoke. Like I'll smoke when I get home. If I'm in for the night.
I'll drink after comedy all the time.
If I didn't drive to the comedy gig, I'll smoke afterwards and hang with everybody. That's like really fun and really cool and really important. But I'll have maybe a beer or something. But
that's not drinking to me.
Right? Yeah.
It's
just a social sipping.
But I've completely stopped trying to drink before going on. I don't want to have any sort of. But it really does fog up your mind. I don't drink when I'm planning to write at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you. It's been a big hindrance to me in the past.
Yeah.
I've also gone through phases where I was doing some pretty heavy drinking. So,
so describe your writing style. Do you say a funny thing and then go, I got to write that down. I got to make that a bit. Or do you like blank page?
I can't. I try to do the blank page. I fucking can't. I fucking wish I could.
Mm-hmm.
It's very frustrating because it feels like if you're not doing that, you're not writing, and you'll set aside time to write, and you just sit there and stare at a page, and 10 minutes later you're on your phone. I kind of have to think things out, so I'll try to think while I'm walking somewhere, and that's kind of how I come up with stuff. Or I'll I know I just said I don't drive. I have a thing where I can rent cars by the hour. Maybe I'll go rent a car for an hour and drive on 95 and try to see what I can think of. But I'm not good at just writing stuff down. I'm not a good writer per se.
Well, I want to make sure I want to say this on the record because for sure, like you said, we have friends who like make it and do stuff, and friends who like get somewhere and do something, and sometimes don't return phone calls anymore. So I want to say this to you on the record. While none of us are shit yet, that I'd be happy to sit down and write some jokes with you sometime. Anytime you ever want to sit down and write some jokes, let's workshop some ideas and premises. I'm open to that all the time. Anytime, my phone's always on me.
All right, I'd be up for that because I'm also like an outwardly motivated person. Like if somebody's holding me to something, I'll do it much more than trying to hold myself.
Right. Yeah, accountability is counted on. You're counting on a buddy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I probably will hit you up and be like, do you think this is funny?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Feel absolutely free to do that if at the very least. But if there's more to it, if like there's real shit going on, you need to talk, you need a friend, just some judgment-free conversation, I'm here.
All right. You are an ordained minister.
I want to make sure I say to you, like, while we're on the record and this all makes sense, how much I value and appreciate the currency of your effort that you've spent here with me today. And also anybody who's listening and everybody who's hanging out or whatever, like if you got this show on in the background, if you're doing whatever, the same thing goes to you. If you're ever feeling like you don't got a friend or something, go ahead and follow me on Instagram or Twitter or something, and then you can reach out to me. You can comment on any of the videos. You can reach me on any social media, and I will return your calls. I will return your emails. Like that's, I'm not too big of a deal yet. I'm saying that now, but in like 5 years, I'm not returning anybody's messages.
Look, we've established why not already. You can't.
Is your network glitching out also?
It just was.
Yeah, that keeps happening. So I have just a couple other quick things, and I'll send you off right into the sunset with a hot dog and a handshake.
Oh, yeah.
First, considering I said all that stuff and the whole being on the record things, I want to give you the opportunity to say anything that you'd want to say to me or ask me any questions you've got to ask me, and treat this like it's your podcast here for a sec.
The big one I wanted to ask you was how wrestling compares to comedy.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of the only person I could have asked that to and gotten a straightforward answer.
Well,
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Who is the famous comedian you hate the most?
Jeff Dunham, probably.
Okay.
I don't hate him, but I'm not somebody who hates anybody, but I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah, he's never made me laugh, but that's for people who go on cruises, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like if I could be a cruise ship comic, I think I'd get 45 minutes of clean material.
There was one of my ex-girlfriends clearly doesn't respect comedy at all. First of all, to this day, I don't know if she was just trying to troll me and get a reaction out of me, or if she actually meant this. But she would always be like, "Well, I could do comedy. I just don't want to."
Yeah. I think that might have been the girl that fucked up my funniest one year.
Oh, wait, are you being serious?
Yeah, because she was like hanging around with Shaner, and it was like Shaner's friend's girlfriend.
Oh no. No, probably not.
And she wasn't a comedian, but she was like, "Oh, all my friends are comedians and shit."
No, because she doesn't like a lot of comedians.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, she wasn't friends with many comedians. No, it definitely wasn't her.
Right. It's like, because I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen. I wear like beanies a lot. Like that's the thing I always do. I've always done that. And the girl came up to me and she's like, "Why are you wearing a beanie? We're inside and it's air conditioned." Like it. Stop, you look dumb, or whatever she said some shit to me, and I was like, I like the way it looks. It's like, just leave me alone. Like, and she was like, "Oh, you comics are all so sore. You're supposed to be so tough and shit." And I'm like, whatever it was. Then 2 seconds later, the bartender then goes, hey, you know who you look like? And I was like, no, who? And she was like, Colin Farrell. And I was like, can you say that again in front of that lady right there? And whatever. One of the funniest years that lady that
that doesn't sound like her.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not the same person. But she would insist she could do comedy. Mm-hmm. She would say, "Well, I've taught, so it's the same thing."
Right. It's like you had a dog. It's like being a parent.
Yeah. Yeah. And I used to always say, well, because again, I don't know if she's trying to troll me. If she did, it worked. Because I used to always be like, hey, if you write 5 minutes and do it at an open mic, and if it's good, I'll give you $100. And that offer is on the table at any time. But she refused to. Anyway, the reason I brought her up.
Does it still apply?
If she wanted to, I'd do it. Yeah. For her only. She was very cocky about it. There was one time she said something about like, well, why don't you try to do cruise ships? Mm-hmm. You know, that there's money in doing cruise ships. I was like, well, to do a cruise, you kind of have to have an hour of clean material.
Yeah.
Because without irony, well, then we'll sit down one afternoon and we'll write you an hour of comedy.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. It's just, you write for 2 hours and you have an hour of comedy. A good hour that will get you on a cruise ship.
Having an hour of written material versus being able to have an hour to show to somebody, to have them book it, and having the opportunity to have stage time for that amount of time anywhere else to like be able to get that on tape.
Another thing is like you have to prove yourself to get on a cruise ship. You have to be able to show for something. You can't just say, "Hey, I have an hour. Right. Can I do this cruise?"
Right.
I would like to do a cruise ship just for the experience of it. To be a cruise comedian.
Have you been on cruises?
I have never been on a cruise in my life.
I've been on 3 cruises. The comedy's always real hacky, but it's funny. Like I can recycle hacky premises.
Right.
Okay. Just crowd work for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, what kind of cabin do you got? This guy with his balcony suite over here.
You guys are stuck on a boat. You have to throw her over if you want to get rid of
her. Hey, ain't the bathrooms weird?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've witnessed cruise ship comedy. I think dude, I'm such a comedy nerd. Like I don't think you'll meet many comedy nerds as nerdy as me for comedy. But when I was 21, I went to Vegas. Like I went on my 21st birthday specifically because I wanted to see stand-up comedy in Vegas on my 21st birthday.
Who'd you see?
Nobody. Oh. The funny thing was like there was nothing going on that day. Oh. I was like, oh well, this is all for nothing.
No.
But it was like my uncle and his wife were going on a trip, and they invited me and my mom because it was our birthday.
Okay.
I have the same birthday as my mom, so it was both of our birthdays, and they asked us to go. And most of the week, I wasn't even 21 yet. Yeah. Like I was only 21 for the second half of the trip, so like I got kicked out of everywhere, and it was.
I thought you were going to say like, oh, Dave Chappelle did a show, but I couldn't get into that one because I was 21.
Nope. Maybe that'll make for a better story. Maybe next time I tell the story, I'll add that to it.
Yeah. Dave Chappelle was performing, but you couldn't get in.
Right.
2 days before your birthday.
Hey, like somebody fact checks it. No, Dave Chappelle was playing in Vegas. Yeah. December 1st, 2000. What year was that?
4.
2004? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's say 2004. Yeah. I mean, I could have got into a Celine Dion show, maybe.
Yeah.
My heart will go on. But so I do a segment on the show towards the end where I call it audio time travel. Okay. Where let's pretend that the people who love you and care about you the most stumble across this audio when it outlives us in 20 years. So,
Why do you think I'm going to have such a long life?
Whether it outlives us or not, this audio is going to exist.
Yeah.
Okay, so the people stumble across the audio to find out what Uncle Jeff was like, or what Dad was like, or what our husband was like, or whatever. What messages, what specifically would you say to these people for lessons to learn?
Ooh, all right. This is
you're speaking directly to 2041 loved ones.
Okay.
At this moment.
Son, daughter, wife. Man, I didn't think I'd have any of you in my life. At the time of this recording, it's getting a little up there in age. Didn't know if I'd ever get married. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I have you kids. Kids, don't put things off. Make sure to whatever you want to do, follow through with it. I know this is very hacky advice, but I put some things off in my life. Procrastination is one of my biggest regrets, so avoid that pitfall. I haven't figured out yet how to get past as a host at Helium. I can't give you advice on that. In fact, I hope you guys don't try stand-up. Don't do it. It's a last resort. Don't listen to other comics about anything. Learn to play an instrument. Oh, even my wife. I plan on having a wife who is 30 years younger than me. So at the time of this, yeah. At the time, she'll be a spry 25-year-old. Still ready to try on new things. Philadelphia is undoubtedly like Mad Max by now, so do not go there. Living in the city is overrated. You grow out of it. And the benefits at UPS are great, but working there sucks. Don't fall for their trap.
Get a fan.
Fan does nothing.
No.
Man, no, I wasn't expecting that.
No, like I
don't know what knowledge to impart.
Yeah, I mean, like the biggest lessons, and you spoke right to it when you said procrastination. Procrastination is going to be your biggest obstacle.
Yeah,
like it's something that you actually have some regrets about.
Yeah, certainly was mine. That's being serious. Putting things off has been, and not just stand up things in life. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give you my philosophy on some of the regrets, like some of the mistakes, some of the regrets that I've made, and you can apply it. I mean, if you want to use it, apply it. If it works, anything I ever say, if you can use it, use it. But the way I look at it, lots of the mistakes that I made, lots of the regrets that I might have, I don't sit and like dwell on them. I don't live in regret. It's not a state that I think is productive.
Right.
So I just appreciate who I am now. And that is a lot to do with the results of some of the mistakes I've made.
Right.
So a lot of things have been reactions. So I think a good amount of people, not just me, not just me for the beginning part of my life, was like we just kind of let the world happen to us, and aren't deliberate creators in our existence. So I was really kind of an observer, and everything I did was kind of a reaction to something that had happened. And instead of going like, oh, here's what I want and this is what I'll do, I would just go like, well, I have to do this because that happened, and I have to do that because that happened.
Yeah.
And you kind of lose control. So as Incubus would say, hold the wheel and drive.
No, I think you're right. I mean, because I'm the same way. Is I can always be very reactionary in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So let's sit down together. We'll write a clean hour.
and then we'll take charge and get on a cruise ship.
There you go. All right, man. One last thing is I would say to close out every episode, I say hypothetically I've gifted you this show. So this has been the pilot episode to your new podcast, Evolving with Jeff Rosser.
Okay.
in a very Jerry Springer's final thought type of way, you wrap it all up in a nice, pretty bow and gather the takeaways that would inspire folks listening to this or watching this to become a better version of themselves than what they are right now.
Look, we talked a lot about a lot of things today, but what you have to take away from this is, if you're planning on doing stand-up, you do not have to have a half-finished drink at the bar just in case you bomb, so you can finish it and run out. You can just bomb and walk out. You don't have to drink at all. Nobody will think you're awkward. The alcohol is not important, especially at Lickety Split. Also, don't threaten to shoot the audience at Lickety Split. They won't find that funny.
No.
Yeah, I think that's it.
No. Close it out if you could with like doing your best impression that you've got.
My best impression?
Yeah.
Of anybody?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Man. I'm not really
like when
impression guy.
Hey everybody, have a good night, or something like whatever impression. We got like an Adam Sandler or something. Shabadoo.
All right, I'll do for you. My impression in high school, when SpongeBob was at his peak, I did an impression of SpongeBob SquarePants to show how stupid I thought the show was. I can't look at you while I'm doing this, though.
Please don't.
Hey, Patrick, you want some burgers? Why, sure, SpongeBob. Pile them on. Hey, what the hell is going on out here? Sorry, Mr. Squiggles. There you go. I know all those are wrong.
Yeah. You know
what they're called, Krabby Patties.
And it definitely it sounded like your Squidward was Mr. Krabs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, I want to make sure anybody listening to this understands that we appreciate how much you've decided to give us the currency of your effort and your time. And if this is your first time checking out Evolving with Corey Castle, this is episode 251. There's 250 other episodes. You can go back and listen to the archives. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and comment on the YouTube channel. Like, leave some comments below, youtube.com/Corey Castle.
And tell me how much you love me, because we've established I like that validation.
Yes, we do really much. We very, very much want it and need the validation. The validation army couldn't hold me back. For all your time, I'm really grateful. I want to let you know we're friends now. I'm looking forward to whatever our next step is, whatever the next step in the journey. This is awesome that we got this opportunity to sit and chat with each other. It's the longest conversation we have ever had. So here's to new ones.
All right.
The new connections. I love to be a resource for you in any way. If you need any help with anything, absolutely reach out to me. And be kinder to yourself. Treat yourself with the respect that you deserve. Be fun. Have safe. Keep evolving.
Oops.